We all know how to maintain a road, but how do you maintain a river? We'll find out how different government agencies work together to do just that. The county seat is next. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the County Seat. Most people would agree with you that right now we're in kind of a drought cycle and it's very dry here in Utah. Not particularly an uncommon thing. But it wasn't too long ago that every portion of the state was experiencing flooding, the year of 2011. How did we cope with that? What kind of damage was created? And how do counties cope with the future floods that haven't arrived yet? That is the topic of our show today on the County Seat. Let's start with a little bit of background information as to what happened in Weber County back in 2011.
Mother Nature is unforgiving, seemingly flipping from one extreme to the other. This year, for example, has been dry, with rain falling intermittently at best. Contrast that with 3 years ago when flooding hit every corner of the state. Since Utah generally is on the drier side of those two poles, we don't often think about the functionality of our river systems, at least not until they're overflowing.
A river is kind of like a piece of infrastructure anywhere else in the county, and from time to time it takes maintenance, and especially when you have a tremendous event like we had in 2011.
And while that wet season caused a great many problems, it also helped jumpstart projects to mitigate future flood events.
Frankly, this river has not really been adequately maintained in its history. And so for hundreds of years, it's had maintenance issues, but when this flood came in 2011, it just blew it up. It literally blew up the system.
When you have a plumbing problem at home, you likely call in a professional to deal with it. And counties are no different, except they don't call your average plumber, but rather the NRCS, or Natural Resources Conservation Service.
We can pretty well deal with any organization that's in the state, and we're a federal organization, but kind of state-centered, and we're directed by a group of conservation districts that exist throughout the state, and those local districts give input to us and tell us what resources they'd like us to treat. So we're very locally driven.
These are people that understand conservation, they understand the importance of a river system like this, and they understand the importance from kind of a global sense to agriculture and to safety and human health. And they come into a situation like this with some resource, but most of all with technical expertise and advice and the ability to work together with the local partners to get a project like this done.
The project on the Weber River attacked the maintenance problem from 3 different directions. First, the river channel was cleared of all sorts of debris that had accumulated both naturally and from human activity. Second, the banks were reinforced in problem areas where the river typically washed away its own banks. And third, structures were added that will aid in taking the stress of excessive flows in heavy rain years. Just like fixing any trouble spot on the river won't solve the entire problem, trying to tackle the whole project as a single governmental entity wouldn't be effective either. Weber County understood what needed to be done, but lacked the resources to accomplish it. That's where state and federal funding made the project possible.
Nowadays, the solutions have to be big for the problems that are big in our world. And again, this was something that we just absolutely couldn't have done on our own, and it took a comprehensive solution to a comprehensive problem, and with that we had to have a comprehensive group of partners. And so we're very proud from the very beginning of the individuals who are out here on a day-to-day basis running the machinery and putting the vision to this thing and making it all work, all the way up to the highest levels of the federal government where funding is appropriated for these types of projects. We absolutely could not do it without all of those partners.
While we rarely know what Mother Nature is going to throw at us from year to year, we can look at the systems we've created, manage them, and hopefully avoid problems in the future. For the county seat, I'm Derek Dowsett.
We will analyze the collaborative effort that made this feat happen when we return on the county seat.
Let's be honest, you don't know much about Beaver County. Well, let me tell you about it. It's the birthplace of outlaw Butch Cassidy and inventor Philo T. Farnsworth. Some of the best skiing in Utah is at Eagle Point. You've got camping, Canyon Breeze Golf Course, Crusher and the Tushers, Beaver Territorial Courthouse, snowmobiling, renewable energy, Pioneer Car Show, Squeaky Cheese, ghost towns to explore, best water in the country, Paiute ATV trails, Old Frisco kilns, horse racing, hunting, fishing, and it's a good place to live. Beaver County, mountains of fun. I could tell you more, but why don't you come and see it for yourself?
Kanab, base camp for your southern Utah adventures. You belong in Kanab.
When you buy Utah made and grown.
I'm a Utah's own vegetable grower. I care about the foods I produce.
Because when it comes to quality local foods, I understand the importance of Utah grown and raised.
The jobs that we enjoy are vital because Utah's own supports our communities.
As a consumer, I look for Utah's own products because Utah's own is good for me and it's good for Utah.
Keep it here at home, Utah's own.
You often hear people say, think outside the box. Well, maybe it's time for you to take a moment and look inside the box. It's time to think inside the box. Box Elder County.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking about water projects today, in particular Weber County water projects, and more focused than that, what took place from the time of the floods in the Weber River in 2011 to date. Joining us for our roundtable conversation, Bronson Smart, who is the State Conservation Engineer for the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is a secret clandestine agency of the federal government, right?
Correct.
We have Jared Anderson, who is joining us. He is the Weber County Engineer, and Commissioner Kerry Gibson of Weber County. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you, Chad.
I guess I'd like to put a kind of a timeline together to start. When did you realize that you guys needed to call him?
In 2011. And I'd almost, I came on in January 2012, so I came on a little bit of the aftermath, but I think early on in 2011, Weber County started to realize we're gonna have some major flooding. And so it wasn't really at the flooding, but we knew ahead of time it was gonna come on, and I think that's when everybody started saying, okay, we need some help.
There's no question in the height of this flood event, thank heaven, Bronson was very available, in fact reached out to us and said, we can see what's going on there. It was a breath of fresh air because we needed his help. We knew that we were in over our heads as a small local government, and we knew we needed support from all of the partners we could get.
Okay, so this is a question. Did you know that he was available and there is a resource prior to him calling and reaching out to you?
I did. Bronson and the NRCS has done a very fine job over the years of making sure that the community partners understand what they have to offer. And so I'll have to admit, during the heat of it all, I wasn't quite sure where to turn, but I knew that there was resources there, and Bronson made himself available very quickly, thank heaven.
How do you analyze where your organization is, NRCS, is going to actually get involved in a project? Because there's got to be some kind of litmus test. How does that work?
Yeah, so we have basic program, rules and requirements to determine, who's eligible for assistance. But also, as we're, we live in the communities that, and we're part of those. And so when large flood events happen, either the community's reaching out to us or we're reaching out to them to see if they need help and assistance. And we just have a team of experts, you know, an interdisciplinary team of biologists and engineers who can show up on site and help. Sometimes it's just a matter of telling the county where to place a group of sandbags or a load of riprap. But sometimes you know, in this case, we saw that there was a need for a large future project that we were going to have to, you know, consider and plan out so we could help protect those lives and property that was being damaged from the flood event.
You said something very interesting there that probably most people don't think about. If you're talking about cleaning out a waterway and making a river run better, you generally think infrastructure and you generally think engineering. You said biologists.
Absolutely. They're an integral part of our team. They help us, and a part of our consideration is for the fish and wildlife in the system. We don't want to damage that or degrade that beyond what it already is, and we want to try to improve that. And this project is a great example of that. You know, as our biologists have taken a look at the impacts from the projects, and we've considered with all the local landowners, and that comes through that collaboration. You know, we bring in the Division of Wildlife Resources experts to help us out with some of that, bringing in where the fish populations are and what limitations there are to them doing better in the system.
So, Jared, you, I guess, had to kind of administer this, and I'm sitting here thinking, looking at that video and going, okay, I doubt that NRCS has those excavators and those big tractors, and I'm quite sure the county doesn't have the resources I saw in that aerial shot. So how does this project, this just isn't a county road crew project, is it?
This is, like we've said, collaboration's been used a lot. It's really, I'm just one of the pieces, but we have the ability, thanks to NRCS and what they were able to give us and help us out with. Then they turned that over to the county and said, you guys run with it. Now we have to turn in receipts. We have to do everything we need to make sure we're doing it correctly, but it takes also our team of engineers that we hire out of house. That once the engineers got it designed, and then we bring a good team of contractors on. We pre-qualify contractors, and they have done an excellent job. We've had a lot of work done, a lot of things completed on this river, and thanks to a lot of people, a lot of help, and from top to bottom, from NRCS all the way down to the guy that's pounding steel out in the ground. It's a lot of work and a lot of people, and it's been very exciting to see the work happen. From a commission standpoint, you manage a lot of projects.
We do.
How did this one flow? I mean, we're 3 years from start to finish?
Well, we started off almost immediately from the day that we had the helicopters dropping the massive sandbags because we were about to lose the river and lose a whole community in the Warren area. From that very day, we tried to figure out what needed to be done first, maybe a triage of sorts. And we tackled the things that needed to be done immediately, and then we sat down with the team, which included our state and federal partners as well as the county and others, and tried to figure out exactly what the comprehensive plan should be going forward. And so yes, it has taken a little more time than we had hoped to wrap it up, but really it has really been effective, I think, in its scope, and honestly, from the time frame, it's been probably as good as it could have been, because it is a major project, very comprehensive in nature, lots of different moving pieces, lots of different parts, and because of that, I think we have a solution that actually makes sense going forward.
You see, as an underinformed voter, I would have thought that was pretty quick, 3 years for something as big as that undertook. So. When you said it took longer than you thought, I was kind of surprised.
Well, it includes several different projects, and so some of them had to be done in order, and of course there are a lot of different concerns, environmental and otherwise, that we had to work through and make sure we were doing appropriately, and so it has gone fairly smoothly.
The state is involved in it in what capacity? Is it because they basically own the water, or what was their involvement in it?
Chad, one of our challenges was that at the bottom end of the Weber River drainage system, where the river drains into the Great Salt Lake, there's a state facility called the Ogden Bay Waterfowl Management Area. That's on state land. and there are some gates there that help the water to disperse and spread out for waterfowl management purposes. And so a lot of part of our project was on this state land. And so we knew that we had to bring them in as a partner as well. So that's basically their involvement, is to the extent that the project was on state land, using, with state assets.
I'm presuming that their gates might have been part of the problem back up on the farmland?
There's no question we think that they were. There was some damage to their facilities as well, but we were able together to bring this up to par to where not only is it a better system, I think, now for the state system on the state land, but it also helps that water move through those gates and through that waterfowl management area much quicker, so that we can relieve that pressure during those tremendous flood events.
Great. We are going to come take a break. When we come back, we will look at the design of what was accomplished in Weber County, because as you drive through, you probably won't notice. But we'll look at some of the engineering on the county seat in just a minute.
What would you do with an extra day in Utah County? Explore the Wasatch Mountains? Snap a family photo at Bridal Veil Falls. Cool off on Utah Lake or the Provo River. No matter what you're searching for, you can find it in Utah Valley. Bring everyone together.
Planning your next conference or corporate event? The Davis Conference Center offers 70,000 square feet of flexible meeting and exhibit space, plus high-tech audio-visual services that will make your event a success. Whether you're planning a training, meeting, company retreat, wedding, or large convention, let the staff at the Davis Conference Center help you arrange your next event. Located east of I-15 in Layton, call 801-416-8888 or visit davisconferencecenter.com today.
Why is it that environmental protection and economic development are often placed at odds with each other? In Duchesne County, they have both. Here, modern industry and resource development go hand in hand with some of the most pristine wilderness in the western United States. A strong economy balanced with a lifestyle of exploration and discovery. But don't take my word for it. Go visit them. Duchesne County. Close enough for business. Far enough, get away.
You go through the day-to-day repeating what you did yesterday. Don't you wish you could access that piece of your life that's missing? Find the beauty, serenity, family fun, or anything else that's missing from your life in the Cedar City, Bryan Head area. Gain access to your adventure, whether it's camping, hiking, the arts, festivals, or just a getaway. Visit cedarcityayl.com for details on all the adventures that you can access in scenic southern Utah.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are discussing today a water project in Weber Canyon that was brought to the attention of the county back in 2011 when there was a lot of water in the river. And in anticipation of such an event happening again, we're expecting that things are going to work much better, aren't they? You know, they all nodded their head.
Yes, they will.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. I would like to talk a little bit about how big this project actually is, because you know what we saw in the news was a couple of flooded farms, a small section of bank eroding. How long did how much riverway are we talking about?
The project covered the areas all of Weber County there, so there's about 18 miles of river that had flooding and damage associated with it. So it was quite extensive.
Oh, I noticed in the story that I saw areas where you were digging away a natural earth canal of some sort, clearing it out, moving debris, and then you're coming back in and putting concrete in. That's not the river, is it?
No, that's not the river. That's what's called an overflow channel. This channel, as we looked at how the river flowed over the years, and we've even got a map on the first floor of the Weber Center where we're located. It's an 1896 map, and it shows within about a couple hundred feet, it shows what's called a Little Weber overflow channel. So even when the early pioneers lived in that area, they knew that when the floods came up, that there was a location there in that area where the water would be released, where it would come out over the banks and come out there. So in 52 and 83, Again, in 11, this is the approximate location of where that bank has broke. When the bank breaks and there's no control, it spreads out. What we're trying to do with this project is to gain better control for the farmers up and down the river, a lot of properties, just to gain that control of that water.
So some of the water's already been diverted for years to the Willard Bay impoundment, and that's takes off there. Was this an enhancement of that diversion, or did you actually add new diversions and new bypasses?
So the Ogden Bay waterfowl management area, we added a large extra gate and enhanced some of their existing gates. It's at the end, you could say that it's near the end of the river. So that allowed more water to get through and gave us better control of that area. Like I said, is when we had floods in the past, it overflowed at the location where we're also putting in the Little Weber channel. That'll give us the ability, when the waters get high and the banks start failing on us, we can open that up, and then the water will go out
a different direction
and head out a different direction to get out to the Great Salt Lake.
But that's an existing right-of-way?
That's true, but to answer your first question, we did make improvements as well to the Willard diversion channel. Because as you know, the water there is a place where water is diverted to Willard Bay, and it was not as helpful as it should have been during this event because of some challenges at the diversion itself, as well as the capacity of the channel. And so we're working feverishly as part of this project as well to make sure that channel is accessible as well. So again, this is, you can see how this kind of lays out. Any one of these would not solve the problem on its own. But as we put it all together, we feel like we've got a great solution.
The existing 1896 channel didn't require new right-of-way or new property acquisitions to run the diversion channels. You just used existing avenues and improved them, is that correct?
We still need easements across properties to be able to get this water to go out. There were some existing easements and some easements that we need to acquire in order to get that water out and build a channel of that size.
Well, that still has some challenges to it, doesn't it?
Yes, a lot of challenges.
Not easy.
Well, this is a good point to take a break. It's a very interesting topic. I invite you to share it on your social media, contact some of your friends, tell them the show is in progress right now, and we will come back with more of the county seat with the topic of water in the Weber Basin after this commercial break.
You often hear people say, think outside the box. Well, maybe it's time for you to take a moment and look inside the box. It's time to think inside the box. Box Elder County.
What do you picture when you hear Rich County, Utah? Bear Lake adventure, snowmobile action, pristine skiing, spectacular solitude. Well, if that isn't what first came to mind, then you just don't know Rich County. The Bear Lake Monster Polar Plunge, snowmobiling Monte Cristo, ice fishing Bear Lake, skiing the backcountry, fishing at the Cisco Disco. Come and find out what you never knew you were missing. Rich County, Utah.
There is a place where young and old make connections, where kids feel like grown-ups, and grown-ups feel like kids. There is a place where beauty arises in contrast, where wonder is universal, and laughter second nature. There is a place where friends find a future, families find each other, and feelings find their home. There is a place.
Planning your next conference or corporate event? The Davis Conference Center offers 70,000 square feet of flexible meeting and exhibit space, plus high-tech audio-visual services that will make your event a success. Whether you're planning a training, meeting, company retreat, wedding, or large convention, let the staff at the Davis Conference Center help you arrange your next event. Located east of I-15 in Layton, call 801-416-8888 or visit davisconferencecenter.com today.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking about Weber County Water and the improvements made on the Weber River to help the next time the heavy rains come. And I guess at this point we're all crossing our fingers that that to some extent does happen. I would like to talk a little bit more about what's the process for easements, because if you've got areas where you've got to go, is that a condemnation problem? Are you working with landowners? I mean, how does that process work exactly?
We want to work with landowners for sure. It does impact the landowner where we're running the channel more than other landowners. But we want to work with them. We want to do everything we can that they can keep farming that property and do what they need to on that property while that channel goes through. We don't want to go through the condemnation process, and I don't think they do either. We just want to work together, collaborate. What do we need to do so we can make this a successful project?
And honestly, Chad, it has been very successful to this point because people recognize the importance of it, and they recognize the value to their homes and farms and families. Just for instance, you may not know this, but agriculture in Weber County generates roughly $350 million of receipts, and as that spins around through the economy over and over again, it's a huge part of our economy. You then add to that the factor of whether or not people feel safe in building a home because of a flooding project or a flooding event, or if, for instance, existing homes. And the reality is, during our flood event, this massive flood event in 2011, we had homes that were seriously in jeopardy and life, that was at risk. And so, as we look at the whole picture and the economic possibilities in Weber County and what might need to go forward, how we can be successful as a whole, this just has a far-reaching effect. And I think that's the main reason why our landowners have really been willing to work with us and try and put this thing together in a way that makes so much sense.
Who is eligible to contact your service for assistance in managing natural resources? I mean, obviously there are things other than just water.
Right, so we have project sponsors that are state government sponsored. They can be a local municipality, a county, or an Indian tribe. We've worked with all sorts of those organizations to pull off these projects that protect life and property. And in 2011, we actually were working with 19 of the 29 counties throughout the state. So this wasn't just limited to Weber County. There were several other counties that we were working with to try to help protect those people who were affected by the floods.
Does the busyness of your office correlate with the wet and dry weather cycles?
I haven't been home much in the last 3 years, let's just put it that way.
All right, well, thank you very much. I think this has been very illuminating. Oh, one last thing. You guys got an award for this.
Yeah,
we
tell us
did.
about that, Jared.
Utah Construction and Design gave us the award for Water Wastewater Project of the Year. Whitaker Construction, our contractor, submitted it, and many other contractors did, and we won the award for that, and were awarded that a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations to Weber County and Whitaker Construction, and thank you for inviting us into your homes to discuss these local topics that are of great importance. County government is where your life happens, and it always works better if you are part of the solution. So get involved, and we'll see you next week on the County Seat. If you like this video, then we invite you to subscribe to our channel, The County Seat. You can do that here. And we invite you to share with your friends. We also invite you to get all the latest up-to-date information by following us on our social media channels. And if all else fails, make sure that you watch The County Seat Sunday morning at 8:30 right here on ABC4 Utah.